Hello everyone, I'm here to show you a couple of Beatles related vinyl albums that I got recently, and there's interesting stories behind the two of them, at least to me. And one of them is going to be the new Paul McCartney album, Sealed to Revealed. All right, let's start with Ringo. I got a Ringo album and a Paul album. Now, this story starts out with this album that I had in my collection, Ringo, live at Soundstage. It's a live concert from 2005. Ringo at the, live at the Janice Theater in Illinois, August 25th, 2005. I have albums you can see over here. I have them kind of like leaning against the cabinets. I have a cabinet full of records, and then I have some that are just like not yet on into the cabinets. They're just kind of like leaning. Now you can see some of these are a little uncomfortably angled. I like to try to keep them straight, as straight as I can. Anyway, when I was going through my collection of records that were on the floor, I noticed that this record, and I tried to straighten it out, was kind of like bent. I don't want to bend it too much, but it was curving. It was curving over, and I'm like, oh geez, this album is ruined. So I took it out, and it was this album because I didn't know what album it was. I just saw that one album on the side looked kind of bent. And when I got it out, yeah, I'm afraid that I had to fix it. I don't know if you can really see there, but there's a little dent somewhere on the side. Can barely see it, but it was like kind of creased over. Let's put it that way. And when I took the record out, I was dismayed to find out that it actually was a nice record. It was look at that red vinyl with some black marble in there. It's a nice color, right? And when I held it up, I noticed it was warped. It doesn't really show so well here, but there you can see it. And I still am going to try to save this. I know they have devices, these little clamp things, I think, where you can kind of like flatten out a warped record. I put this on the turntable, and I noticed that side one just had a very slight wave to it and was playable. But when I flipped it over on side two was unplayable. It was really warped. So now the thing was, I said, well, do I want to replace this record? And the answer was, yeah, I do want to replace this record. So what I did was I promptly looked on eBay, and I found out nobody's got red vinyl for this. This album came out in gold and red, and I couldn't find any red vinyl on eBay. So then what I did was I went over to Friday Music. You know, that's who releases this. You can see the Friday Music logo there. I went over to Friday Music, and Friday Music, even on their own website, doesn't carry the red vinyl anymore, only the gold. So now red is rare. It's the rare of the two. I can't find them anywhere. So I said, well, I want to replace the record. So what will I do? Well, what I did was I went to a record store that I know, and I went to this record store, and they actually had a copy. This is the second one. They had a copy. And I said, well, I'm going to buy it because I want to make sure that I have this album on physical vinyl. You know, I collect all the solo albums of the Beatles, you know, studio and live and compilations, pretty much almost everything, 99% of it on vinyl. I want to do that, but they only had the gold, just like online. Let's look at the gold. This is a kind of a first look. This is gold, and it's kind of nice. So yeah, I like the red better, much better, in fact. But at least I have this, and I also put it on the turntable. There is no warpage here out of the package. You know, out of the package, it's fine. So I now have the album Ringo Starr live at Soundstage in my collection, and as a physical vinyl record. You know, to have all Ringo's albums on a physical vinyl copy. Too bad I can't get the red. Hopefully I'll be able to straighten out that red warp. Okay? At the very least, at least I still have the red vinyl album to look at. It still looks nice, even if it doesn't play, right? All right, now let's go to Paul McCartney. Before I show you Paul McCartney's album that I got, and to tell you the truth, it's not really, I don't know, it's not really a special release, as you'll see. Before I show you that, I want to show you what I have. You know, Paul McCartney has had, geez, I don't know how many. Anybody know out there exactly how many copies of The Boys of Dungeon Lane are out there from Paul? Either they're 12, 15. I think they're over a dozen. There must be 15. I'm guessing between 15 and 20 versions. There were a lot of versions. Anyway, this was one that I got that was the green. You could see the Boys of and the L24 are in green, right? I showed this on my channel already, but I'm going to go through it quick. Let's see, just for those who hadn't seen it. The inside here is green, which is a nice touch, you know, the inner sleeve. And of course, the record is green vinyl. That's the first one that I chose, by the way, you know. And inside here, it had that card. That was the postcard that was included in the green version. All right, and of course, there's also, I only show this once because it's repeated, you know, the booklet. This is the booklet that has the lyrics and such in it, okay? All right, so that's the first one there, okay. Then, after that, I went to the special in-store affair that they had where, you know, you had a listening party. And they had this one there, which was the silver version. This one has become one of the most sought after of them all. This one has the orange. I call it orange. A lot of people say red. You want to say red, I say orangey in a sleeve. And let's see if I could find the card in here. It is in there. Okay, we'll edit this probably. Maybe not. Okay. Whoop. We have the card in here. I like that one. I'm glad I got this one because this is my favorite of the cards. That's nice promotional picture of Paul, you know. So, and there's the silver vinyl, which I think is a nice design. Very nice. The other version that I had gotten for the Boys of Dungeon Lane was this one. It almost looks like the White Album, doesn't it? This was a special gatefold edition, and the gatefold opened up to show you that. There's the collage with all the Beatle people. So this is the gatefold version, it's called. And inside here, I don't think there was anything else included, right? Because I think the gatefold itself, that was the thrill. I think this was on standard black vinyl. Well, this particular inner sleeve is a little different. It's plain. It only has the words on there. And this is a standard black vinyl, okay? So anyway, and that was it. You know, out of the, I don't know, 12 to 20 versions of this thing that they had out there, those were the only ones that I bought. But here's the update. Here's the new one to my edition, okay? When I was in Barnes & Noble the other day, I went to Barnes & Noble the reason that I did it was because I was looking for the Barnes & Noble movie sale. They have 50% off movies every July. And I saw this. They had this there, Boys of Dungeon Lane. I said, well, what's the deal? What got me, it said 10% off. And I'm like, whoa, 10% off. Okay, which one is it? And it said on it, I like that sticker too. It says the new album, pressed on black vinyl. Now, the one thing that I wanted was the standard, no frills, straight ahead, ordinary black vinyl copy. Okay? That's at the very root of everything. If I'm going to collect an album by an ex-Beatle, I want to have the standard black version on vinyl. And this is it. So let's open this up. This will be a first time. Now, of course, I don't expect to see. It's just going to be plain old black vinyl. There's nothing going to be anything that's a standout. Nothing really to dazzle your eyes with here. Okay, let's get that split seam there. All right. And we're going to leave the shrink on for this. And as we take it out, we've got the booklet that everybody sees. And we got the kind of orangey reddish one. The standard black vinyl edition. Regular, everyday, plain album. Look at that. You can see the Beatles back there. If you want to see what's behind my camera, you got the Beatles over there. You can't really see Ringo up there with the Bad Boy promo album. Anyway, so that's that. And I don't know if it has a card or anything in it. I'm thinking not, but let me just double check. Nothing. So every one of these versions that I got has something to offer. Let's put it that way. So thank you for watching this video, and it's still fun to collect.